Man, fuck Dokapon Kingdom. Sorry, I keep talking about this because by God, this game is so fucking toxic. I was right in front of the fucking final boss when a fucking event happened that pulled me to the goddamn Colosseum, which was on the other side of the map. Angry. Anyways, this is where you are. I'm looking for you. A girl wielding 2 collie sticks pokes her tongue out at me like a child being caught playing a prank.
見つかっちゃったわね。なんか部屋にいるのが落ち着かなくて。
I just realized that I still have music going. Whoops. Whoopsie. I mean, at least it seems... Yeah, it was quiet enough to where it was barely audible, so... And that's why I also missed it, that I still had it going. Oh, I'm a dumbass. So you decided to do some exercise?
軽く汗を流そうと思ってね。そしたら戦術も見直したくなって、剣筋も確認したくなって。
She smiles wryly and wipes her face with the towel wrapped around her neck. Her skin and hair is soaked in no small amount of sweat. As far as the main event, wouldn't you be better off resting?
その通りです。よければ運動パフォーマンスと休養の相互関係をグラフにして表示しましょうか。わかってるんだけどね。でも動いてないと不安になっちゃうのよね。
She twirls her shorter Cali stick and bashfully smiles and blushes.
私、剣闘祭に出場するのは3回目だけど、初めて緊張してるかも。
Meh, a complex mix of unease, invincibility, and fighting spirit lights up in her eyes. Know how you feel? I'm worried about whether tomorrow's sentry will go off well or not. We haven't solved the puzzle of the locked room, and I'm worried about where they might just come in from.
密室？何のことかしら？
She looks at me inquisitively. She doesn't appear to be feigning ignorance. She really does seem to have forgotten. The threatening letter? It was left in a locked room, wasn't it?
あれね。余計なこと言っちゃったかしら。
She scratches her cheek awkwardly for some reason and breaks out into a smile like she's hiding something. I have no proof, but I do have a strong hunch about this. Based on your expression, I take it you know something.
何も知らないわ。ただ、大体の予想がつくだけ。
Then could you at least tell me? I am in charge of the guard. I approach her, but she just keeps smiling wryly.
密室自体はそんな大したからくりじゃないわ。使い古されたくだらないトリックよ。答えを聞けばなんだそれって思うようなね。ミステリマニアはむしろ怒るかも。簡単に言うと、あの部屋は密室だけど。
I really have no idea what you just said.
少し考えれば誰だってわかるわよ。問題なのはトリックよりもどうしてあんな脅迫状を送りつけてきたかね。
If you know the culprit, can't you just apprehend them and get them to confess?
焦っちゃダメよ、ジン君。確信はしてても確証はないの。なのにお前がやったんだろって詰め寄るのは良くないわ。
Sorry. Yeah, that's actually the way the secret police work. I honestly regret thinking something so foolish. But does that mean it won't become a disaster if you just leave them alone?
わからないわ。でも今は様子を見てれば大丈夫だと思うの。それにジン君が警備主任なんだし、そこまで心配する必要もないわ。
That's a cheap response.
ごめんなさい。でもね、大した心配は本当にしてないの。私はむしろ犯人探しに躍起になって本人を追い詰めないかの方が心配ね。久喜先生も言ってたんでしょ？いろんな事情の人がいるって。
That's true. That was when we snuck in to see what the conservative Chevalier were up to. I recall Kuki said that to me when he showed me that the Chevalier are hard up financially. Are you worried about him saying you don't understand how they feel? An unusual display, she nods in acknowledgement with a bit of expression.
バレちゃったわね。その通りよ。あの後ね、思ったの。私って今までの人生 自分を基準にしか考えてなかったって。騎士団の改革だってそれで困る人が出てくるなんて思ってもなかったもの。まさかシュバリエの特権が一種の奨学金制度みたいに機能してたなんて。
She actually looks and sounds quite sorrowful.
あれから他の奨学金制度についても簡単に調べてみたの。とっくに有名な話だけど、奨学金って奨学金なんて名前のくせにただの学士ローンなのよね。
I don't know too many details, but apparently a lot of students have trouble repaying the loans.
卒業してすぐに返済が始まりますからね。新人でただでさえお給料が少ないのに、毎月まとまった額が引き落とされるため生活にゆとりがない。そのため体を壊してしまう人も多いというデータもあるようです。
分かってて借りたんだろ。自業自得だって意見が多いのも知ってる。
She shoves her hand into her sweat-soaked hair and scratches the back of her head as she glowers at the
でも
ground.
すがらざるを得ない状況になれば手を出しちゃってもしょうがないじゃない。
If they haven't eaten anything for a month, even if a grain of rice costs 100,000 yen, you'd bite into it without thinking. It's an extreme metaphor, but she nods
それ
grimly.
が貧困ビジネスの怖いところよ。ダメだって分かっててもそれしか手がないんだもの。もちろんちゃんと返済してる人が多いのも知ってる。その人たちが自分たちはちゃんとやった、できないやつは怠けてるか努力が足りないかだって言ってるのも。だけどうまくいく人いかない人両方がいて当たり前でしょ。なのにうまくいくことだけを前提に話をするのは違う気がするの。ジン君が言ってた通り、世の中努力だけでなんとかなるなら失敗する人なんていないはずでしょ。
The world is so fair that having motivation is all you need. Mai subtly rehashes the words I once inherited from my master and bites her lip. Hard work won't always pay off. That's my
だ
interpretation.
から今のシュバリエへの優遇措置について悪く思えなくなってきちゃったのよね。とはいえ騎士団をあのままにしてれば間違いなく財政は破綻してたわ。
She crouches down and runs her fingers through her
だから
hair.
自分のしたことも間違ってるとは思えなくて、何が正しいのかずっと悩んでるの。
Is that the real reason you're unable to relax? That's why you're exercising as a distraction, even though the main event is
かも
tomorrow.
しれないわね。
Her tone of voice and expression really are gloomy. If you worry, then all the more reason you have to win tomorrow's festival. Otherwise, you won't be able to proceed with the path you believe is right, nor alter your course of action. No matter when, the only person who can choose what path must be followed is the one with the authority to decide. I'm a good example of this. I belong to the organization. I work covertly. Everything I have to do is decided from above, and all I can do is follow orders. I can exercise my discretionary powers on sight, but can't make large decisions. Occasionally, I find this frustrating.
進むべき道を決められるのは決定権を握る人間だけ。
Everyone else can either choose to follow or resist. If you wish to change the future of the Order of Knights, then you have to seize the right to decide. However, her route back to being captain has already been shut off. The only method remaining to us is for her to gain the title and use its influence to directly lead the Order. So ease off on the exercise and take a rest. Find some other way to distract yourself.
別の方法？
Her expression suddenly warps into a grin. She's already wrapped her arms around mine by the time I figure out what she means.
別の方法で気を紛らわせるか。いいわね。じゃあ早速お願いしようかしら。
Jesus Christ. Ah, yes, Jesus Christ. God fucking damn it. Jesus Christ, these two are the fucking, like, bunnies in heat. Jesus fucking Christ. I can only repeat myself. Huh? What do you mean? Huh? She leans against me. Feel the aroma of her sweat and her body heat wrap around me. That's enough to make my heart race. What on earth are we planning?
分かってるくせに。ももかちゃん、スリープモード。
かしこまりました。スリープモードに移行します。 その前にくれぐれも明日に差し障りのないように。余計に疲れてパフォーマンスが低下したら目も当てられませんからね。
それぐらい激しいのも経験してみたいけどね。
She pulls on my arm with an adorable laughing voice and mocking grin. Then they fucked. At school?
汗臭かったらごめんね。
That's the fucking CG, I guess. She whispers to me as she fumbles to take off her uniform and leans over me with her burning body. Her eyes are already entranced, a smile on her face. Speaking of her anticipation, she licks her lips. That's enough to set my loins on fire. I feel like this is already supposed to be an H scene. Like, it's fine. I actually love your smell, my son. Her coercive nature never changes. However, the moment I utter her name, her eyebrows furrow into a frown.
マイって呼び捨てにはしてくれないのかしら?
She holds me tightly from above. Ah, well, like I said before, I have to be respectful to someone older than me.
恋人同士なのよ。そんな風に思う必要なんてないわ。むしろ呼び捨てにしてほしいのに。
She's so cute when she pouts. Her normal, gallant, mature persona is kept in check, and the childishness only I know oozes forth.
敬語もいらないわ。他のみんなみたいに普通に話して。せめてエッチの時だけでもいいから。ほら、マイって呼び捨てにしてみて。
A whispery, teasing voice tickles my eardrums. My mind gets hot and it spreads throughout the rest of my body. But her pouting face beams like a flower blooming. She then whispers through her light, rose-colored lips.
ジン。
It hits me harder than I'd anticipated. I had no idea just being called my name without an honorific would be so potent.
その顔いただき。
An electronic sound accompanies her laughter. She's suddenly holding her device. She didn't take a photo, did she? Hey, Mai, what are you doing?
またさん付けしたわね。
She laughs cheekily as her device makes another sound. She takes another photo and reaches out to grab it, but she easily dodges me. Mai, did you really have to take a photo?
ジンの困った顔すっごく可愛いんだもん。
Let me get it. It pecks away at my lips. That fills my chest with warmth. Mai! She took another photo, this time while we were kissing. Jesus Christ. I tried to object, but she wraps her tongue around mine and seals my lips, making it impossible. I can't exactly push her away, so I just let her indulge and take my photo. Okay, Jesus Christ. She finally pulls away, and we wipe our slobbery lips. As we catch our breath, she shows me the device display with a
可愛
grin.
い顔ばっちり撮れたわよ。
Both of our entranced faces are clearly captured. Delete that, come
で
on.
も角度がいまいちね。どうせならもっと全体が入るように。
She eventually puts her device down and her agile fingers sneak into the gaps in my clothes and they fuck.
まさか自分があんなにも乱れるとは。
She doesn't hide her embarrassment as her cheeks redden. We've already gotten dressed and cleaned up, but it doesn't look like we'll forget the debauched sight of us fucking in the mirror anytime soon. Oh boy! That, huh?
おかげで余計に疲れちゃったかも。っていうか途中から声も抑えられなくなって。隣に聞こえたりしてないわよね。
Put on an ambiguous smile, telling her that if they did, we can't reverse it. Sorry, kinda lost control part way too. Even if she was the one who seduced me, I failed as a second to have gone so overboard the day before her match.
誘ったのは私よ。必要以上に謝らないで。第一、気持ちよかったのはお互い様じゃないでしょ?
I just realized something. Hold on. I'll pull out this really quick. First off, message.
「それにいい感じの満足感があるの。気分転換に限れば大成功よ。 その代わり眠くて眠くて
Then you just sleep. Sleep now, you should recover fully. Ah, but first, the photos. Please delete them.
あらら、覚えてたのね。残念。後でこっそり楽しもうと思ったのに。
Yes. Please don't. If those get out somehow by mistake, it'd be a disaster.
大丈夫よ。誰にも見せたりなんかしないから。
She picks up the device she'd laid down beside us and lets out an unexpected exclamation. Got a bad feeling about this. What was that for?
ごめん、ジン。デバイス、スリープモードにするの忘れてたみたいなの。おまけに何かの表紙で動画モードになってて。
Wait, hold up. Interrupt her, not wanting to hear anymore. However, things don't just go the way you want them in this world.
私たちがエッチしてるところ、全部録画されてたみたい。
Oh lord. Oh boy, oh lord, oh gee, willikers. That's less than ideal. The fuck? Almost done with the stuff I wanted to do real quick. Yes, there we go. Finally got done with the stuff. What? I'm so shocked that I stand there with my mouth agape and my face all flushed. I'm once again given flesh. It's early in the morning on the day of the combat festival.
みんな朝早くからありがとう。
Mai speaks with the arena as her backdrop after all the preparations are
さあ、
complete.
いよいよ本番よ。準備はいいかしら？
Royal Chevalier are gathered around Mai, who has been demoted to that of an ordinary knight. They all wear the same anxious expressions. Considering she was removed from office as captain, lost the duel, and still hasn't given up on Reformation, the different camps must have their own differing views of her. And yet, the reason they're united like this is because of their mutual anger towards someone trying to cancel the festival and their pride as a Chevalier. Of course, a big part of that is because of Mai's ability to command a group of people.
緊張してるみたいね。みんな顔が硬いわよ。大丈夫。あんなに頑張って準備したし、リハーサルだってスムーズにいったじゃない。落ち着いてやれば何も問題ないわ。
If it weren't for the presence of an actual problem and Mai's directions, they wouldn't be able to function this effectively. As a result of applying stricter security than ever before, the actual site was overwhelmingly short in numbers. Even if they solicited volunteers, they couldn't expect them to be as talented or diligent as the Chevalier. Her ability to recognize each person's talent and restructure the organization accordingly was worthy of respect. I remember her bragging that watching people was a hobby of
とは
hers.
いえ、本番では何が起こるかわからないもの。不測の事態が起こった場合は、各部署で柔軟に対応してね。そのために各班のリーダーには現場レベルでの指揮権を与えてあるんだからね。もちろん対処できないような大きなトラブルがあればすぐに周りを頼って。無理は禁物よ。助けを呼べるうちに助けを呼ぶのはとても大事なことだからね。
She has the ability to lead, plan, and execute. Even the conservatives have to acknowledge that she excels as a captain. That explains why they silently accept her word. The Tolk Academy Order of Knights are unanimously united on their desire to make the combat festival a success. What will happen to the order once the combat festival is over? It depends on the outcome of today's matches.
さあ、それじゃあ始めましょうか。大丈夫。私たちならできるわ。
Oops. It's finally beginning. The first match begins on the center stage. Chevalier are poised with their weapons and sparks fly. Watch out at the corner of my eye as I scour over the entirety of the arena. There isn't a great deal that I have to do with being in charge of the sentry. I was busiest yesterday. Once the festival has begun, the guards stationed in each location are to deal with issues locally. My task today is on-site support. I'll process incoming reports and give out commands as the situation demands should the unexpected arise. It's a role I can perform because I have a complete grasp of the whole sentry structure itself. Of course, I haven't forgotten my primary mission. Should the threatening ladder be connected to the bat, they'll surely act during the festival. This position is ideal to observe for it. Can't believe how popular this is. Spectators are just as excited as they would be for a normal combat sport festival. The tickets are all sold out and the guest seats are completely packed. The arena atmosphere has been feverish right from the start. I know it's only just begun, but I hope it concludes uneventfully. Scan over the arena once more and bump into Kanon and Amenomori on patrol.
あ、ジンくん、お勤めご苦労様です。
Nothing grand. It's nothing grand, but good. How are things going for you two?
事前にたくさん練習しただけあって、全部がスムーズに進んでます。トラブルにだってちゃんと対処できたんですよ。
What kind of problem?
迷子が思いのほか多いですね。さっきも2人、お母さんとはぐれた子供を預かってましたから。家族連れが多いですからね。地域交流の一環でもありますし、しょうがないんですけど。
Makes sense. I'll keep an eye out for children too.
はい。それじゃあ引き続きお互い頑張りましょうね。
Move to the next location according to the designated shifts. I watched them leave before questioning Momoka. How's it look, Momoka? Any reports of suspicious activity?
今のところは全ての部署が順調です。それよりもマイさんのセコンドにつかなくていいんですか？そろそろ最初の試合が。
As Momoka said, Mai is climbing onto the stage. The arenas stir as they give a rousing cheer.
すごい人気ですね。
It's probably because their desire to support her is stronger in there, since she's still aiming for overall victory despite being removed as captain. Virtually the whole arena is her supporters. That'll make it easier for her to fight.
近くで見ていなくてもいいのですか？
Well, no offense to her opponent, but she'll be perfectly fine for the first match. As far as the Chevalier and Squires who are competing go, the data on them says it's a shoo-in. I could easily obtain the data and video footage of their previous matches. As far as I could see, none of them have the ability to beat her. Of course, no one knows what will happen during the real event, barring a miracle. But barring a miracle, I doubt it. Not forgetting that Mai virtually has a home-ground advantage in the arena. A stir arises within the arena. Then they loudly cheer and Mai waves her hand and responds on stage. She won as expected. She was never in any danger. Thank goodness.
なんだかんだで気を揉んでたんですね。
I wasn't necessarily worried, I just wanted to be sure. I'm worried that I'm blushing as I hear the sound of feet running towards me. I can hear the bounce in her steps, so I know who it is without even turning around.
どうジン、見ててくれたでしょ
Yeah, congratulations on the win. The person I was anticipating puts on a smile I was anticipating. It seems that as soon as the bout was over, she looked for me and ran over.
そうでもないわ。あの子、1年生にしてはそれなりの実力者だったのよ。実際、自分の形を作って勝負仕掛けるのに、思いのほか苦労したもの。
She says she couldn't let her guard down, but you can't hide the satisfaction in her voice.
経験不足につけ込んで、早々に勝負を決めに行ったのが良かったのね。これがスパーリングとか練習試合なら、もう少し手こずってたかもしれないわ。
But you still wouldn't say that you'd lose, right?
当然でしょ。今日は優勝するためにここに来てるのよ。弱気や遠慮は自分の部屋に置いてきたわ。
That's the spirit. It's crucial that you stay motivated throughout the
とは
tournament.
いえ、次の相手がね。
I agree with her on this one and frown. Who is her next opponent, you may be wondering. Probably Weiss. Yeah. Well, it's none other than the current strongest chevalier with the title of Weiss, Shirogane. Contestants, enter the arena! The two chevaliers climb onto the stage at the referee's mark. Cheers are heard rocking the stadium from every direction. Not surprised they'd react this way to a duel starring the former captain and the vice. This time I'm observing the match close up as her second. The atmosphere instantly becomes tense once they both stand up there in their armor.
二人とも学園の内外に大勢のファンがいるみたいですよ。
Mai has fans. What is this? A little gloomy inside. You can do it, Mai! I raise my voice to expel those negative feelings. She glances my direction and nods. I just make out a smile on the corner of her lips.
下馬評では神楽さん優位ですね。SNS でも応援する声が大きいみたいです。去年は神楽さんが勝ってますし、順当といえば順当な評価でしょう。
That said, the mood here seems to sway to our side. Hey Georgie, good luck! Show them your stuff as the former captain! Captain, we support you! She's gonna show them the power of the vice! You can make out support from Mai from all directions, except the last one. There are some hecklers, but they're insignificantly few in numbers. She can't acknowledge each and every one of them, but she must find strength in it. This time, both of them have had only one match each. They will have loosened up adequately and should be fine in terms of stamina. The outcome of the match will come down to pure difference in ability. On your marks! Mai assumes her stance, looking tense but undaunted. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
こんなに早く白金さんと当たるなんてね。
Ever since she declared that she was aiming to win the Combat Festival, two of them have refrained from being friendly in public. Part of that is Shirogane's kindness, but at the same time, an expression that she intends to go all out and clash with her. Neither of them have any intention of going easy on the other, regardless of the situation. In which case, sooner or later, one of them will, without a doubt, have to defeat the other.
去年はまともに相手をしてもらえませんでしたからね。今年こそ全力で蓮城寺さんを打ち破ります。
怖いわね。そんなに力んじゃうと後半バテちゃうわよ。
Their appearances give off the opposite impression from their words. Shirogane sounds brimming with confidence, but has a very Very relaxed, natural posture, while Mai, who sounds like she was shrinking away, is as sharp as a knife. The people around are watching the two of them with bated breaths. The referee raises his hand, then brings it down sharply. What the fuck? Begin! Mai's rapier stabs forward immediately. It screeches as it cuts through the air with such intense force that it looks like it would destroy the AR armor in one stroke. But Shirogane takes a light step backwards, so it doesn't contact at all. She thrusts her swords forwards repeatedly and closes the distance between them like a dance. Each attack is keen, but they miss their mark. Come down, take your stance first! Shout out advice as she bites her lip in irritation.
白金さん相手に自分のペースを作れとか無茶言うわね。
おしゃべりする余裕があるなんて舐められたものですね。
Her blade flashes with the sound of cutting through the air. It doesn't sound like it sounds like a whip being cracked. It sounds more like a whip being cracked than a sword being swung. She carves it laterally, aiming for her temple, but Mai simply squats to evade it. However, her blade then turns in the air and traces across to aim down towards her head. A dull sound echoes through the arena. It's the sound of her intercepting the blow with her parrying dagger. She immediately slashes her rapier up over her shoulder, but they're too close. Shirogane grabs the gauntlet of the rapier and easily defends against the attack. With just the slightest of miscalculations, she would have grabbed the blade instead, making it an incredibly bold move. Not just her skill, but her nerve that appears insane.
思いのほか力も強いのね。
連城寺さんこそパリーイングダガーからのプレッシャー。
One holds a sword with a parrying dagger, while the other holds a rapier with her bare hands, and they glare at each other. They both flick their wrists and try to entangle the other's weapons. Mai is the first one to withdraw. She moves away to regain her footing. But Shirogane persistently keeps closing the distance. She desperately swings her parrying dagger, but there's no hope of it striking. She easily twists and dodges it. Shirogane used the momentum of returning from her twisting position and stabs sharply. My heart leaps into my mouth at her scream. There's a metallic screech sound like a sword hitting real armor. The VR displays metal shards spraying with sparks. But she hasn't taken any damage. The strike was limited to damaging armor, and there's no wound on Mai. Now's your chance! There's a guaranteed opening immediately after an attack. There's one of those exact moments. She immediately thrusts her rapier, but Shirogane is already leaping backwards. However, in the next instant, she utilizes the interval of Mai reaching forward and close the distance once more. Don't let her set you up, attack at your distance! Their movements are perfectly meshed like gears. As one of them moves to close in on their opponent, the other retreats, and as they retreat, they approach them again. Her footwork is incredibly natural, but from the sidelines, I see that Mai is swinging a rapier from a distance that won't reach. She's not being hasty, but the difficulty is interfering with her mindset and sword movements. Shirogane targets that moment and swings her sword sharply. She slips her sword towards her throat as she maneuvers to take full advantage of the opening. She deflects it with a parrying dagger, but unable to break her sword's momentum, it curves into an arc. The slashes come without interruption one after the other, and Mai desperately moves back each time to try and create some distance. But the more she retreats, the more Shirogane closes the distance. She keeps the attacks in check with her rapier and parrying dagger, and someone manages to just defend against her.
なんて固い防御。まるで連城寺さんの信念のようですね。
Even Shirogane can't readily get a decisive blow through the two-weapon defense. She frowns ever so slightly, letting up for an instant as she considers her next attack. Mai uses the brief opening to leap far back. Shirogane cannot lose cannot close that gap. Whoops. Cannot close that gap and use the opportunity to resume her stance. The crowd erupts in response to the continuous tit for tat right from the outset. That's so tense that it doesn't even give them a chance to breathe.
神楽さんは完全に間合いを見切ってますね。
Proof that she understands how vital it is to fight at your own distance. Skilled fighters like Kuki have a clear grasp of their own attacking distance. The merest of centimeters, no millimeters, is all it takes to quickly strike your opponent in an instant. At the same time, you maintain a distance that your opponent has a hard time with, preventing them from obstructing your attacks. Mai is incredibly capable, but I have to acknowledge that her opponent here is one level above her.
まるでこっちの呼吸まで読まれてる気分だわ。
At the further distance, she wipes her brow and puts on the dauntless
クキ先
smile.
生とは違う意味でいやらしい戦い方ね。
あの人は外からの攻撃が得意ですからね。
An opponent that is outside of her strike distance and one that is too close, they both have the same effect. Maintain your strike zone and abolish your opponent, and abolish your opponents, making it hard for them to attack, and then attack when they create an opening. However, in Shidogana's case, the swiftness with which she executes her counterattacks is very acute. She continually applies pressure, trying to proactively force her opponent to crumble in order to maximize the effectiveness of her counterattacks. In fact, many of Mai's attacks were made out of desperation to put some distance between them. Mai is the one having the most trouble, but both of them have probably landed the same number of blows. In which case, the one with the more intense attacks will put them at a disadvantage in terms of whittling away endurance. Calm down, don't fight on your opponent's terms, attack to win!
わかってる。でもそれをさせてくれないからこんなに手こずってるんだけどね。
At a further distance, Mai wears a troubled smile as she waves her parrying dagger around as it circles. Pony's action reminds me of someone doodling while on hold during a phone call, trying to take their mind off it. They call it doodling, but it's said to be an effective means to increase your concentration. Apparently some famous IT company positively encourages it. Her spinning parrying dagger abruptly stops moving. She resumes her stance and begins closing distance inch by inch.
さすがですね。波のシュバリエならさっきのでいくらかは焦りを見せてくれるんですけど。
神経がずぶといってことかしら。細やかな性格じゃないのはちゃんと自覚してるわよ。
She's cracking jokes but isn't letting her guard down. Her breathing is controlled and she's carefully closing the distance while trying to avoid getting into the same pattern as earlier. It mustn't look pretty as her opponent. I guess the same goes for both
や
of
っ
them.
ぱり一筋縄ではいきませんね。
その言葉そっくりそのまま返すわ。気がついたら負けそうになってるんだもの。
Sparks fly from their weapons as soon as she finishes her comment. Mai frantically attacks with both weapons in succession. Her movements look erratic from the sidelines. Her new form of attacking is all out. Attacking all out has Shidogane completely on the defense as she tries to gauge her.
動きが変わりましたね。何かあったのでしょうか。
You're right. Cool it or she'll counterattack immediately.
当たって砕けたいなら望み通り砕いてあげます。はあ。
She dodges her rapier slash, and at the same time mows down her sword across her shoulder. She steps in to close the distance with exquisite timing. Her movements are nigh on perfect. Nonetheless, the sight of metal clashing and sparks flying happens for the umpteenth time. That was the ideal distance required for a lethal attack, yet it was intercepted. Shidogane looks positively shocked. Mai smiles provocatively. Shidogane is not so simple as to go into a rage from just that. In fact, she repeats her counterattack a second time to be certain. Mai intercepts a blow aimed at her throat with her parrying dagger. She then used the opening created from parrying the slash to send forth her rapier. Sound of metal clashing tears at my eardrums. This time Shidogane sustains damage from the rapier. Even she retreats at that. Mai, not pursuing her recklessly, maintains her stance and grins.
なるほど。何を狙ってるのか分かりましたよ。
That's the first time I've heard a hint of frustration in her voice. Even I noticed she struck her knee, so you're aiming to counter her counter.
白金さんの剣筋は真面目すぎるからね。おかげで助かるわ。
Mai's haphazard attack was a bait. She intentionally created an opening to invite a counterattack and then used that opportunity to strike
ほん
home.
とお手本みたいなカウンター攻撃よね。おかげで次の行動が読みやすいわ。
Shigana silently intercepts the blow and repeats her counterattack without hesitation. It's a carefully honed action without any unnecessary movements, but Mai has already shut down her ability to take that extra step forward. The rapier strikes out sharply and once more damages Shigana's armor. Cheers fill the arena.
さすが蓮城寺さんです。やっぱり強い。
Mai's expression doesn't lighten even after being praised by the wise.
そっちこそバイスの名は伊達じゃないわね。カウンターが来ると分かっててもすごいプレッシャーだわ。
Even now that Mai has read through her strategy, Shirogana's movements show no sign of hesitation. Quite frankly, I wish the duel would be over already. This is another case of writing where the duel is just they hit each other, and then they hit each other, and then the other one blocked and then hit back, and all the while both fighters are metaphorically sucking each other off for their skillful play or some bullshit like that. I don't like fights like this. Fights like this just make me want to go back to Aokana and read a fucking FC match. Even now that Mai has read through her strategy, Shirogana's movements show no sign of hesitation. She utilizes the quickness of her movements, times it with her opponent's breathing, and her counterattacks are like a flash of silver. There are a sequence of actions that makes it clear just how how intensely she would have drilled these movements into her nervous system. It's just that she responds to baited openings with a counterattack to simply defend herself.
私にはこれしかありませんから。
She sounds uncharacteristically pensive, but each attack is undeniably as keen as she boasted. And even with counters to her counters, she still has the determination to break through the strategy by further increasing her speed. It's like a chess problem. Mai attacks, making Shirogane release a counterattack. Mai anticipates that and institutes another attack in response. Should either of them misread their opponent or hesitate because of a lack of faith in their own ability, it will instantly decide the outcome of the bout. The two opponents continue desperately trying to maintain their cool, unlike the feverish crowd. They're very closely matched in strength. At this point, it's no longer going to be technique or strategy that determines the match. You can do it, Mai, as long as you don't give up, you've got this!
諦めるなんてそんなこと考えたこともないわ。
私だって負けません。必ず蓮城寺さんを倒して。
She's gone to intercept a slash from overhead with her sword. Mai loses a footing from fatigue.
しまった。
She creates a huge opening and Momoka and I are seized with so much terror that we're at a loss for words. But Shirogana's response is dulled. She's inciting a counterattack from her. Is she really out of stamina? It's not in her voice, but her expression tells the story. She's probably begun to doubt the head-scratchingly obvious opening about her after her countless counterattacks to her counterattacks. She bites her lip for an instant, then advances with all her might. She must have decided she's weary. She steps in more boldly than ever and swings her sword over Mai's head, but her hesitation has given Mai some leeway. She just barely intercepts the sword with her rapier, but there's so much might in the attack that she remains off balance.
ここしかない。
She twists the rapier around to flick it off. She frantically retrieves her blade, but immediately closes in again. Look out! Sparks fly with a flash of silver. She targeted Mai's chest in the opening, and she just barely stops it with her parrying dagger. This time she's holding back her longsword with the parrying dagger. Her rapier flashes upwards from her other side. Shirogane desperately retreats. Don't stop, this is your chance, keep pressing!
しまった
After closing distance, Shirogane is close, and yet because she ineffectively tried to move away, she's perfectly in Mai's strike zone. Mai's indomitable persistence has created an opportunity for her. This is her only chance of victory. She casts aside all her normal grace and refined, elegant behavior, and simply strikes with all her might. A metallic sound rings out and her armor is smashed to pieces. Her rapier instantly follows through, pointing directly at Shirogane's throat. The air freezes as though it forgot to transmit sound. Match over, Victor and Jojimai! A split second after the referee's decision, the crowd erupts and roars, shaking the arena. Talking is hard. She won. I vaguely whisper that. I finally unfurl my ball fist.
舞さんの勝利です。
Yeah, thank God. I was terrified for a moment there, but you clutched it out. In contrast to the excited crowd, the two contestants silently leave the stage. But once Mai has descended from the stage, her expression eases. Don't fall! She staggers on her feet as I hastily support her.
ごめんジンちょっと疲れちゃった悪いけどこのまま運んでくれる
Sure. I pick her up as she requested. I rush to the green room so she can rest as soon as possible. Some fucking green room. This is just a fucking classroom. After drinking down a whole sports drink, she finally props herself up. She slowly leans back on her chair, but of course no one here is going to remonstrate her for it.
疲れたこんなに疲れたの初めてかもでも見事な試合でしたよ私感動しました
Got on hand a steamed hot towel, not hiding her delight. She's probably going to give it to her to prevent her from cooling down. It has the slightest of rose petal fragrances, which speaks volume for her care and attention to detail. Mai buries her face into the towel. She rubs her forehead on it a couple of times, wipes her neck and limbs, and then responds with a wry smile.
勝てたのは半分は偶然よあそこで白金さんが悩んでくれたから
She must be talking about that final moment when she lost her balance. Shirogane was indeed uncharacteristically indecisive. It's a tactic of victory for you. Yeah, she hesitated because you were successful at implementing your many different
でも
strategies.
あと5分いえ3分でも試合が長引けばわからなかったわ
だとしたら余計に悔しいです。私の実力が紙一重で及ばなかったということですから。
Shirogane turns up out of the blue. She seems similarly fatigued, but quite able to maintain her composure. As Mai said, there's no doubt it was a victory by a hair's breadth when you consider their endurance.
勝つには勝ったけど体力を使いすぎたわ
She frowned with those very words. She hasn't been very pleased considering she won. I can easily surmise the reason for that.
見事な試合だったよ、二人とも。あれが決勝でもおかしくないくらいの名勝負だっ
Can he
た。
piss off? They're trying to relax. Turn around and see Mr. Kuki there. Mai looks even more bitter as she sits up straight.
じゃあもう私が優勝ってことにしてもらえませんかね
Kuki doesn't play along with her
この
joke.
短い間に随分と特訓したんだね。動きが鋭くなってる。それにカウンターのカウンターを狙う作戦も良かった。初見だと僕も引っかかってたかもね。
In other words, what you're trying to say is that the same tactic won't work twice.
その通り。今のままではまだ僕に分がある。
He seems brimming with confidence, but there's no sign of arrogance. He speaks in a very matter-of-fact tone of voice, like a teacher to his students would, reminding me of his aspiration of being an objective researcher.
何より体力が持たないんじゃないかな。
That is the reason Mai's not happy about her victory. Our objective is overall victory, not to defeat Shirogane. Can she continue fighting after exhausting herself? She'll probably encounter Mr. Kuki in the finals, and there are still other duels before that.
諦めるんだね。君の改革はここで終了だ。
Mai shakes her sports drink again and stares back at Mr. Kuki directly.
一つ聞きたいんですけど、受験する学生にも同じこと言うんですか？どうせ無理だから諦めろって。
His expression hardens from the unexpected attack. He averts his eyes and scratches his head in regret.
すまない。僕がバカなことを言ったようだ。謝るよ。その上で、君が失敗から学べる機会を作れるよう、全力で相手をさせてもらう。
手を抜いてくれると楽で助かるんですけどね。
君は団長として部下のシュバリエに仕事の手を抜け、なんて指示をするのかい？
His retort makes her smug, shrug her shoulders with a bitter smile.
すみません。じゃあ私も全力で戦わせていただきます。先生を超える成長が学生にできる一番の恩返しですから。
They both grin at each other's fighting words. I leave Mai in the green room to rest and move to sentry duty according to my shift. I can't afford to let all my attention be focused on the matches. I have a vital mission to perform. How's it look, Momoka? Is anyone acting suspiciously?
今のところ警備は順調です。特に大きなトラブルの報告もありません。
I glance around the battle arena and there don't appear to be any disturbances anywhere. That's probably thanks to Chevalier and volunteers stationed all over the place, keeping a keen watch over everything. We'd notice even the slightest suspicious action with such comprehensive sentry coverage. But I still can't let my guard down. If the band has evolved into this latest disturbance, then the combat festival would provide them with an ideal platform for an extravagant disturbance. I must remain vigilant to keep my eyes open. Just saying that can't wipe away the bad feeling I have, though. The target, unlike those of the bats, the mystery of the locked room, the way Mai acts like she knows something. The feeling that the incidents are poorly associated and that I'm missing something vital.
顔色が冴えませんね。何か心配事でもあるんですか？
The threatening letter. I mutter that without thinking, and it sets my mind racing. What's the threatening letter again? Was it handwritten or printed?
すみません。マイさんが捨ててしまったので、私は見てないんです。
That's right, Mike tore it up, saying it wasn't relevant at the time. I remember it through the trash can in secret afterwards, but it had already been emptied, so I couldn't examine it at length. Momoka buzzes me from the
脅
device.
迫状はコウモリの仕業なんでしょうか？
Do you think it's odd?
はい。今までのコウモリの動きとは少しパターンが違います。
Maybe the mode of operation has gotten too extreme. Is that unusual for criminals to get carried? Is it that unusual for criminals to get carried away by their initial success? I say that, but I'm already shaking my head at that idea. Nah, it makes no sense for him to suddenly come here. That's the unnatural part.
私もそう思います。すでにコウモリは何度も事件を起こし、多くの犯罪を裁いています。ここに来て急に手口を変える必要はないはずですから。
So does this mean this incident has nothing to do with
あ
him?
れ以降、特に脅迫や要求が届いてないのも気になります。
That reminds me of the doubt Aminomori had. That would normally be a demand associated with a threat. There was none this time. Just set to cancel the combat festival. I'm thinking about this wrong. It's cancellation of the festival, their actual objective. If that were the case, it's unusual that there haven't been any further threats. No one actually considered cancelling the festival. That would have been clear from the outset. And yet there was no threat emphasizing they really would blow it up.
今更ですけど、単なるいたずらだった可能性もありますね。
But threatening to blow up a place goes way beyond the level of a prank. People have been arrested for this at other schools.
検索結果出ました。確かに、テストが嫌で爆破予告をファックスして捕まった学生がいたみたいです。
That's quite a serious risk, not to mention that Toga Academy is a really prestigious preparatory school, so the students wouldn't do something so stupid. If it's not a prank, then it must be the act of someone quite
こういう
desperate.
時は 事件で誰が一番得をするかって考えていくのがセオリーですが、検討祭を中止することで誰がどんな得をするんでしょうか。
Only one thing comes to mind. Perhaps they sent that letter to unite the order, which was divided.
ありえなくはないんですが、仮にその考えが正しければ余計にコウモリの行動パターンには合いません。
So does that mean the bat is involved? But if it's not the bat, why would they go out of their way to deliver a threatening letter into a locked room? I remember that Mai noticed something at the time. She laughed, saying that the locked room was but a mere trick. It was clear she saw through the trick, but she never did explain the rest. Placing a threatening ladder in a locked room that isn't really law. As I'm pondering this, I notice the crowd cheer and sense excitement in the venue. I look at the stage to see that Mai's third duel has begun. Her stamina is of concern, but she should easily defeat her opponent as she did in the first round. I don't bother with supporting her as a second. As I observe on my sentry role, she easily plucks off a victory and the crowd
普
roars.
通のシュバリエが相手なら余裕のようですね。
I don't like the way this is going. The matches continue with a minimum of interval between them. I'm worried about how much stamina she can regain by the final. The next battle will be the final one. She can get some rest before then. I feel unusually uneasy and want to know what's happening everywhere, so I head to the water office.
お疲れ様です。
Oops. Hey. The office is overflowing with displays. I can make out Aminamori and the gaps between them. Jeez. Why do you need the atom? But it looks just like the kind of day trader's room I've seen on the news and the internet. Of course, the arena is being displayed on the displays, and Aminamori's keeping close watch of it for any suspicious activity. How do things look? I stare at the displays with her. Every single part of the arena is covered by the security cameras.
今のところ怪しい人は見つかってません。大きなトラブルもありませんし、順調ですね。
That's a huge number of monitors. I was directed to create the sentry strategy and the management at the local level to those at each site. Surveillance of the security cameras was left to Aminamori, and I'm stunned at the scale of it. Isn't it awfully hard to observe all these by yourself?
いえ、それほどでもないですよ。
She dismissed it as
専用
offhand.
の AI がディープラーニングで怪しい動きを知らせてくれる仕組みになってるんです。情報はすぐシュバリエたちに共有されますから、私はシステムに不具合が出ないかを見張ってるだけなんですよ。
That's incredible. That's a pretty efficient system. I'm
あ
impressed.
ら、それぐらい私にだってできますよ。
Come on, don't go competing with other AIs over random things. I scowl and smack my device. Then we hear an announcement. There'll be a 20-minute intermission. I repeat, the championship bout will begin in 20 minutes. There's an announcement over the loudspeakers. I see many spectators getting up to head to the bathroom or buy drinks on the displays. Red alerts suddenly flash on the displays.
見てください。この赤い印が AI が弾き出した不審な動きです。って言っても、大抵はゴミのポイ捨てとか、立ち入り禁止区域に迷い込んだ人がいるとか。
Can even detect things like
この
that.
情報をもとに、会場で警備してる人たちが巡回してくれることになってます。
It's very convenient. Maybe people aren't wrong when they say that most jobs will be taken by AI in the
言っ
future.
ておきますけど、私ならもっとすごい
You
ことが
get
で
it?
きる。
Yes, and I said I know that. I got an unusually bad feeling about the alerts on the display. I don't know what it is initially and scrutinize the alert. Now I know why. To add alerts, in other words, the subject of the AI's analysis is limited to the spectators. But that should be expected, so why is it making me so uneasy?
どうかしましたか？
ジンさん、
My mind is racing so much I can't respond to them. The culprit responsible for sending a threatening letter is among us. The offender warned me he would blow up the area. He went out of his way to place the letter in what was thought to be a locked room. What does someone stand to gain from this? It feels like all the doubt and suspicions are going off like warning bells in my head. The threatening letter had a simple message: cancel the combat festival or blow up the arena. So that means cancelling the festival was their objective. Their target was uncharacteristic of the bat, someone that stands to gain from the festival being cancelled. A locked room that isn't really locked, a threatening letter, revelation. spectators, patrol staff, and chevalier, squires, and volunteer staff. Momoka, you said you could do the same thing as this AI, right? Then investigate the behavior of the patrol staff. She can sense the suspicion in my voice and proceeds with her analysis without response. Meanwhile, Amanamori furrows her brow in doubt.
警備スタッフってどういうことですか？解析が終了しました。
Momoka announces before I can answer her. I can't contain my unease and ask her immediately. Are there any away from their posts?
数名ほどですね。でも、迷子や観客の対応のためみたいです。
Can you jack into the system to display their locations?
ちょっと待ってください、先輩。どうしてそんなことを。
Sorry, Amanamori, I'll explain later. So can you, Momoka?
可能です。というか、もう終わりました。
Yellow alerts now appear on the display.
こんな簡単にシステムを乗っ取るなんて。
Amanamori, examine the yellow alerts from the right side and I'll start from this end. She appreciates my sense of urgency and helps despite her suspicions. Though it's not like I'm certain of this. Amanamori probably doesn't enjoy the thought of suspecting our own people, but I know from experience that these sorts of hunches shouldn't be ignored.
そもそも何がどうおかしいのかわからないと、何を調べればいいかもわからないんですけど。
Well, I pause mid-sentence as I suddenly spot a stationary chevalier on display. It's the rice ball chevalier. He's not doing anything suspicious, but I can't peel my eyes away from him. The rice ball chevalier is looking cautiously at his surroundings. I see him holding something in his hand. The plastic bottles. He's just thirsty. They're not forbidden from drinking while on patrol. However, it's a little unnatural that he's holding one in each hand. No, they're not drinks. I'm looking carefully. I see that one contains a glistening powder while the other is filled with a reddish-brown powder. No way. Momoka, analyze those!
すでにやってます。あれは、アルミと鉄粉です。
For thermite reaction? I'm horrified. The chill even permeates my voice. Combining those two and setting them alight causes a makeshift bomb. These are no trivial ingredients when used as an incendiary bomb.
すぐ近くのシュバリエたちに連絡します。って、嘘。迷子の対応で持ち場を離れてる？
I've already started running before she finishes her sentence. Connected all the scattered dots. If Mai wins the overall championship, she'll be able to take command of the order and reform it. If the combat festival is cancelled, that will at least be delayed. The one who found the threatening letter was the Rice Ball Chevalier. If he was the one who snuck the threatening letter in, then it doesn't matter how locked the office was. So this is what she meant by a locked room not really being one. I can agree with her assessment that it's a silly and worthless trick. I've been an absolute blockhead to have been fooled by such an inane trick. No, I normally shouldn't have been fooled. As Mai said, if I'd read mystery novels, I would have worked it out immediately. But this time, so much else had just happened. The shadow of the bat was looming, and I didn't notice right from the start. I'd say this incident didn't resemble the bat's methods. God damn it, I'm such a moron. This has nothing to do with the bat. Unless they're being used by the bat, they appeal to his unease and make him do this.
考えるのは後です。今はあのシュバリエを止めないと。
You're right, you're always the one speaking reason. I shout out loud as I finally storm into the arena. I rush into the arena and frantically look for the Rice Ball Chevalier. The final match will begin in 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. In a stroke of bad luck, the movement of the crowd intensifies. The arena is full of commotion as people make their way back to the bathroom or hastily decide to go there now. What's worst of Rice Ball Chevalier is no longer where he was. Momoka, find him!
確認しました。2時の方向です。
There he is. I see him slipping into the crowds. I'm trying to rush over there, but it's too late. He's begun mixing the contents of the bottle. Someone! I shout desperately, but my voice is drowned out by the crowds. Neither the spectators, nor the guards, nor the chevalier are paying any attention. I have no choice but to do something myself. If I pull out a throwing knife from my breast pocket and stab it in the hand, it should stop him. But I hesitate. I can't. If I use a throwing knife, my identity will be revealed. But there's no other way. I know. Wrap my device around the kunai.
壊れても知りませんよ。
I'll apologize if that happens. I throw the knife with all my might, and a synthesized scream flies directly across the arena. If they find the bomb now, the final match will continue. Sorry guys, but this is the only option we have left.
この距離を正確に。さすがですね。
Huh? What's that sound? Who
ア
are you?
ラーム起動。
Alarm coming from above. Why? Hey, what's that sound? It's coming from here. Shit, what do we do? What are you up to? You moron! One wailing loudly is conservative chevalier. The knights have been on edge as it is already. What's more, the conservative faction are already well aware of the Rice Ball Chevalier's circumstances. They know what's happening and scream in a mixture of anger and despair. I've got him! Grabs his hand violently and twists it to seize him. Two bottles fall to the ground and the reformist Chevalier quickly picks them up. Why didn't you come to us for help, you moron? I'm sorry, guys. Rice Ball's Chevalier offers no resistance, just repeats saying the same thing over and over. By the time he's sobbing, I've already approached in the shadows and pulled the knife lodged into the wall. I'm so sorry. A voice so desolate that it kills my soul rings in my eardrums as I disappear back into the shadows. Once Mr. Cookie has heard the full details, he slumps his shoulders in utter disappointment.
彼がそんなことを。
The color drains out of his face and he sighs deeply.
残念ね。
Maya's not pleased about conservative going ballistic either. Instead, she bites her lip with a grave look on her face. I regret having to report this to you right before your match, but I just thought I had to inform you both. The one reporting is the leader of the conservative faction who apprehended the culprit. His eyes are red and swollen and his voice trembling as he fails to suppress his emotions.
ありがとう。引き続き警備の方よろしくね。
ああ、まだ検討祭は終わってないんだ。最後まで気を抜かないように。
Chevalier bow and then leave the room. Mr. Cookie looks away to hide how he feels after seeing them off. We will now begin the final showdown of the Combat Festival. The announcer's voice continues unabated, ignoring the gloomy mood. Now there's no need to be overly concerned anymore. In a sense, this may have been the perfect timing for it.
時間だ。
He says that in an emotionless voice and leaves the green room first. Just focus on winning now. Her voice and nod are strained like she swallowed a bitter pill, but still she shows no sign of discouragement. He's about to walk off when her long eyelashes flutter as she remembers something.
そうだわ。勝つためのおまじない忘れてた。
Good luck, charm. My lips are sealed with a soft, warm sensation. As I'm caught by surprise, she sucks slightly to get a bit of my tongue in. Oh.
充電完了。じゃあ行ってくるわ。セコンドお願いね。
Right. Maya's already walked off by the time I realized she kissed me. I hear her footsteps slowly echo into the distance. The sound of her determination as the former captain and resoluteness as a combatant resonate in sequence. Contestants, enter the stage! Roaring cheers fill the arena. Excitement and cheering, expectation and envy, admiration and hostility. An invisible whirlpool of feverishness envelops the arena, filled with the distillation of countless emotions and anticipation. Even if it's the final battle, there is no grandiose introduction like you'd see in movies. The match simply proceeds like any other in this tense atmosphere. On your marks! The referee raises his hand up high and brings it down swiftly. Begin! The final showdown begins at last. The two of them coolly maintain their distance on stage amidst the cheers and heckling. They slowly inch towards each other. And this man looks fucking snazzy in his armor. Their sword tips are shaking, conveying tension in the air.
危ない。
A sharp thrust aims at her before their sword tips come into contact. She leaps to the left to evade it, but he slashes horizontally, having anticipated it. The harsh sound of metal clashing intensely assails my ear. She intercepted the attack with her parrying dagger. She twists her wrists to entangle his sword. Look at this snazzy motherfucker! She lunges forward at the same time and sends out her rapier, but he simply evades it by leaning backwards. He's already withdrawn his sword, which glints eerily like snake eyes. Be careful, he's going to follow with an attack. There's a whoosh and a silver flash even sharper than before. Maya's already retreated and dodged by moving out of its strike zone. She resumed her stance, Final battle is not a furious onslaught of attacks as the previous battle was, but instead it's a nail-biting interplay of attack and defense. This is awesome! Check out those amazing moves! That's what our alumni former captain are capable of. Keep it up! The arena is so tense that everyone's almost forgotten to breathe. However, they both look as determined as ever.
相変わらずいやらしい戦い方ですね。
付け焼き場でなんとかなるほど世の中甘くはないからね。
Believing in his swordsmanship, he resumes his stance and mocks Mai for changing her style. Don't worry about it, you're actually evading his attacks anyway.
その通りよ。あの特訓は無駄なんかじゃないわ。
Mai psychs herself up as she stands ready with a rapier and parrying dagger. Attack when he is attacking. It's crucial that you take control of the situation. Previously, she would have to move in to attack without hesitation after that. She would have moved in to attack without hesitation after that last attack. She'd have pressured him with repeated attacks or forcefully created an opening and driven an attack him. That's been her standard modus operandi till now, and she used it to beat all the other chevaliers besides Shirogane. Doesn't look like she's fully recovered her stamina. Mr. Quickie's movements look somewhat sluggish as well. Can't tell from the sidelines whether he's been adversely affected by the earlier incident. The two of them begin inching forward towards each other. Mr. Cookie is aiming his sword squarely at Mai's heart. He could be planning to seal it at close range or potentially moving to feint. At any rate, there's no need to foolishly wait for your opponent's attack. Mai begins shuffling sideways at middle range in a circle with Cookie in the center. He's doing it to avoid being attacked at a vital spot. However, Cookie is moving in the same way to not let go of his vital spot aim. The halfway point between them becomes the center of their circling. The sword tip is still aimed squarely at Mai's heart. The circle gets gradually smaller. I'm so tense that I hesitate to speak as her second, but Mai leaps forward. You're too far away, don't rush! Cookie's reach is long enough as it is, but she's launching an attack from quite far back. Is she attacking because she can't stand the tension? Mr. Cookie easily dodges it and steps in with a firm intent to settle it right there. His eyes is suddenly boggle. Mai steps in even further in time with his move. In an instant, she's closed the distance between their weapons and sends forth her rapier. But she's too close and not an ideal range for the rapier. Cookie twists and stops the blow with his shoulder. His armor smashes, but it's not a decisive blow. Looks like the armor has sacrificed itself before the blade could hit him. It's an evasive move that couldn't be accomplished without a fair amount of resolve and bravery, but Mai's anticipated that too. Cookie is now in the range of a parrying dagger, like an insect ensnared in a spider's web. It's designed for defense, but it's still clearly a blade, so it slides through the air at his throat. His panicked voice has me sure that the bout will be settled in the next second. But the keen light of the blade tip stops just a few millimeters short of its mark. Miss Cookie has grabbed the hand holding the parrying dagger. She must be talking about this happening in her fight with Shirogane. Her rapier gauntlet has been seized with immaculate timing to block her attack that time. Mr. Cookie uses all his might to pull on her hand. Such huge size difference in their physiques, Mai collapses to the ground from what is virtually a throw. He swings his longsword down from above. Look out! Now that she's been held down on the ground, he could end the match right here and now. Mr. Mai kicks Mr. Cookie. Mr. Mai? What? Mai kicks Mr. Cookie away. Jesus fucking Christ, I'm like, oh, I'm messing up. He stumbles and they roll apart on the stage. They both immediately rise to their feet and resume their stances. Cheers and heckles fill the stadium as they both scramble ungracefully to get up. That was great, they both so persistent. The real battle begins now. That was the Chevalier battle. There's nothing graceful about their fighting styles.
好き勝手言ってくれるわね。
見てるだけの人には こっちの苦労なんて分かりもしないだろうからね。
Both smile wryly at each other from a distance.
今のは危なかったよ。本当に危なかった。だけど動きが鈍い。
あと少しだったのに。
Mai characteristically raises her voice angrily in frustration. Her raspy, almost high-pitched voice speaks volumes to how little stamina she has left. Sir, your opponent looks to be out of endurance. Drive them in the corner now. You've already beaten her once before. You can't possibly lose. You just need to continue attacking without being hasty. Mai, change your mindsets. You're almost there. Both nod to the advice from their respective seconds. One side is struggling for breath while the other still has plenty of stamina. It's mortifying, but the difference in their stamina is clearly evident, as they say.
今ので決めておくべきだった。勝利の女神は二度は微笑まないよ。
そんなのにすがった覚えは一度だってありません。
Wounded pride is evident in her voice.
勝つためにあがいてきたんです。最後まであがいてあがいて、勝利の女神なんて気まぐれなものに頼らずに
諦めるんだとは言わない。君にたしなめられたからね。受験に挑む学生にも同じことを言うのかって。だから最後まで油断せず全力で君を退けさせてもらう。それにだ。仮にだが君に負けたとしても僕だってあがき続けるのは同じだ。君が卒業した後学園に残って君の改革を無にすることもできる。それでもまだ君はあがくのかい？無駄な努力をするのかい？
Mai snorts and drops her stance. Of course, she's still maintaining her distance and not off guard. She begins spinning the parrying dagger in her hand round and round. There's the same doodling I've seen her do many times
天動
before.
説についてどう思います？クキ先生。
なんだって？
And a totally unexpected string of words suddenly comes out. But Cookie is caught off guard and does a double take. Mai, however, keeps spinning a parrying dagger around the whole time. Spectators look on in confusion from her unexpected question and listen in keenly.
天動説です。天動説。他にも魔術とか遮血治療とか。
Oh, she's talking about bullshit.
そうだ。ノストラダムスの大予言なんてのもありましたね。
体力回復の時間稼ぎかな。だとしたら見苦しいよ。
なんでも1999年の7月に人類は滅亡するって言われてたらしいですよ。どう思います？
バカなことだ。
私もそう思います。でもかつて本気で信じる人もいたそうですよ。
Snickers are audible from the audience. There are also people with bitter expressions on their faces. I believed in that prediction, but now that I think about it, it was absurd. That comment makes the tension in the atmosphere ease.
今では廃れた天動説ですけど、これ支持者がいなくなったのはどうしてだと思います？
それは天文学が発展してみんなが間違いを認めたからだろう。
He said it was pathetic that she was buying time, but he was answering earnestly because of his teacher's nature.
残念ながら外れです。天動説が廃れたのは天動説支持者があらかた亡くなったからだそうです。当時の文献を読むとニュートンが万有引力を発表した後も堅くなに信じなかった人が大勢いたそうです。
Mr. Cookie's lips are sealed tight. Meanwhile, Mai's look positively amused. I can hear people in the crowd bursting into laughter too.
どれだけ正しくとも新しい考えを受け入れられない人って昔からいたんですね。
That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? But there is an element of truth to it. There have actually been people who refuse to change their thinking in the past. Everyone seems to be getting what Mai is trying to point out.
今時子供だって魔術なんか信じてません。だから科学や薬学が一般的になってここまで発展したんですよ。なんて社会科の先生には釈迦に説法でしょうけど、いつだって世代交代がイノベーションを起こすんです。古い世代は出しゃばっちゃダメなんですよ。私が卒業した後のことはその後の世代が何とかすることですから。私たちがやらなきゃいけないのは今大事なことを 全力でやり抜くことなんです。
言いたいことはわかるけど、例えが極端すぎる。教師としては簡単に思考はできないね。それに長期的な視点が欠けてる。今さえ良ければいいなんて間違ってる。第一古きを知るからこそ新しきことを知れるんだ。先人の知恵や蓄積された経験があればこそ先へ進めるんだ。
先へ進むためには何かを切り離すことも大事なんです。ロケットのように子供だっていつか親から独立するじゃないですか。実際うちの母親は寮暮らしを始めてからはあまり生活に口出ししてこなくなりましたよ。だからこそ一人前として扱ってくれてるんだって思えて、とはいえ時々は叱られますけどね。
いい母親だね。羨ましい。
This is the first time I've heard sadness in his voice.
僕の母は父の事業が傾くと同時に家を出て行った。僕たち兄弟を残してね。二人の兄はとっくに働いてたからよかったけど、僕はまだこの学園に入学したばかりだった。生活が苦しいことがどういうことか骨身に染みたよ。恨んださ。母ではなく何の力もなかった自分をね。
Sir, the conservative chevalier raised their concerned voices in consternation and sadness.
あの苦しみはきっと君にはわからない。
私にわかるのは、このままだと騎士団の財政が破綻して騎士団そのものが崩壊する危険がある。献血するのは立派な行為ですけど、自分が大量出血してる時にやるのは自殺行為でしょ。
じゃあ献血すれば助かる学生を見殺しにするのかい？それにこの学園に通う学生の親は大抵金持ちだ。助け合ったって罰は当たらないはずだ。
Discussion is just running on parallel lines.
結局戦って決着をつける以外にないみたいですね。
Her revolving dagger abruptly stops in midair. The two of them slowly resume their stances. Her breathing is calm, so she must have regained some stamina. However, the fatigue is showing clearly on her face. Doesn't look like she'll be able to last very long. Ah, boy, opening started. He must be thinking the same thing as he attacks to rush the battle. But he doesn't show any sign of haste, being careful to avoid counterattack. She deals with the attacks, but is gradually being pushed back. Even if she were to try counterattacking, she's too far away to strike.
手は抜かないよ。僕は僕らしく戦い、僕の得意な方法で勝ちを拾う。
本当にいやらしい戦い方。
A metallic sound rings out each time she defends against attack after attack. Before I know it, she's gone completely on the defensive. But it's not all bad. Preparing dagger is a blade fundamentally for defense. If she's diligent with her defense, she is not in danger of being struck. But Mr. Cookie still defiantly keeps repeatedly attacking from a distance. It's clear what his objective is. He's waiting for Mai to run out of stamina. Keep it up, sir. She's becoming unsteady on her feet. Mai, attack. Don't just defend, or you'll never win. Remember your training. Don't hesitate to just because you're low on stamina. If you don't stand firm now, when will you? At this rate, it'll be a battle of attrition.
その通りだわ。
Like, thus far, every time the MC has thrown out advice, it just felt like, I know that! Like, come on. Some of the advice he throws out is really just a case of, well, who didn't think of that? The vigor returns to expression. There's more fatigue evident than that, but she nonetheless parries his slashes and steps forward to attack in range as we practiced. However, he's desperately trying to prevent that from happening. When she steps in, he retreats, evades it, and changes his stance, only to resume slash from outside her range.
相変わらず間合いが遠い。あれだけ練習したのに入れない。
気合だけではどうにもならないよ。 今まで積み上げてきたものの差で。
His sharp attacks serve to refute her words and doctrine. Mai leaps aside to dodge them, but half screams in response.
気合だけじゃどうにもならない。その通りです。だからこそ勝って信念を通さなきゃだ。
Whoops,
お互いにね。
Slashes collide with the echoing sounds of metal for the umpteenth time. Mai abruptly switches to dodge the force of the attack.
しまった。
He wasn't anticipating that, evidently. He looks shocked. Well done, now finish it!
これで決める。
Perseverance and tenacity drive Mai. She moves with the grace of a massive cat, slipping into the striking range and thrusts her rapier up towards his throat.
この
If Mai's a cat, then Mr. Kuki's a tiger. He mows down the rapier attack with a slash resembling massive claws. His intense attack puts Mai off balance. But this simultaneously created a huge opening.
やらせない。
She swings back her rapier in an unbalanced stance. Her rapier flicks out again like a like a springy child's toy, but there's not enough force behind it from her unbalanced position.
絶対ここで決める。絶対に。
She still attacks forcefully.
最後の最後に神風とはね。正直言ってがっかりだ。
He easily evades the movements of a reckless attack and dodges it. Her arm holding the rapier is stretched to its limits. Crap. The design of the human body is such that applying force is hardest when your joints are fully extended. Mr. Cookie's sword flashes, targeting the rapier. The rapier flies off into the sky with a ringing metal sound. I'm assailed by monochrome shock. It feels like the color is drained out of the world. I'm seized by a fear that chills my very blood. The duel looks hopeless now that she's been disarmed of her weapon. Nah, she isn't! She still has a knife! Piercing shout brings color back into the world. She hasn't given up yet. She reaches a hand to her looming opponent's waist and presses against him to grab his other flank. So-called side-to-side stance in martial arts. Her waist is pressed up against him. Major hip throw? Does she remember me doing that to her? Mr. Cookie's huge body floats in the air along with his confused voice. It's a classic martial arts move I consciously use during her training. If she twists her hip, she'll slam into the ground. And she does just that. He slams on the ground with a dull thud. He lands on his back, winded and unable to breathe for a moment. Mai doesn't miss the opportunity, climbing on top of him and thrusting her parrying dagger at his throat.
参った。
To be fair, he threw her first, so this is fair game. A split second later, the stadium erupts with ear-splitting roars. Match over! The referee's voice echoes sharply among the huge commotion. Victor Renjoji Mai! You did it! You did it, Cap! You did it! You won! Okay, that one's a bit mad. Congratulations, Captain, you did it.
私の勝ちなのね。
She doubts her own victory, but the reality slowly sinks in and her expression relaxes.
勝ったんだ。勝ったのね。
Now the title of Vice actually lies with someone that it fits, you know, because of her hair. An infuriated shout drowns her voice out. No damn way! How could you accept that? That's no way for a Chevalier to fight! Oh, what are you talking about? The very person she was fighting admitted defeat. Don't be unsportsmanlike. What happened to chivalry? Battle should have been over when she lost her rapier then. According to chivalric spirit, losing your weapon should signal the end. No, you're wrong. The captain fights with 2 weapons. With one still left, she can still fight. With 2 swords, you should lose when you drop either of them. Voices debating the match outcome go around from everyone bar the people involved in the fight. Like, yes, if you use two swords, losing one of them means you lose is literally a stupid fucking thing. Because that just means two weapon fighters have an inherent disadvantage. Like, it's far easier to have a firm hold on a weapon if you have two hands. You know? Even the referee has shrunk back from the menacing voices.
落ち着くんだ、みんな。
There's a sternness and solemnness in his quiet voice, which serves to calm the outbursts around them. Chevalier waits for him to speak further, and he turns to them and bows his head.
すまない。君たちの期待に。
Sir. Conservative Chevalier lose their vigor. Their leader has acknowledged his defeat. There's nothing more they can do. They give their responses. Please don't apologize, sir. It's our powerlessness that cost us in the first place. He's right. There's no need for you to play the villain. They did so for our sake.
学生のために頑張るのが教師の仕事だよ。結果を出せなければ意味はないけど。
He responds to their teary pleas with a voice that's crackling like dried clay. That's cracking like dried clay.
教師になったのは食べるために仕方なくだった。奨学金の返済も始まろうとしてたからね。でもこの学園に戻ってきて考えが変わったんだ。自分の作り上げた騎士団が後輩たちの役に立ってると知ったあの時から思ったんだ。これこそが僕がやるべきことだって。困ってる学生を助けることが僕のこれからの仕事なんだって。落ちこぼれにだってできることはあるんだって。そう思えたんだ。僕はやっぱり落ちこぼれだ。みんなの期待に応えられなかった。
落ちこぼれなんてとんでもない。学生のことを真摯に考える尊敬できる先生だと思う。実際彼らには私よりも慕われてるじゃないですか。
Her smile is full of bitterness. She's right. Do you know how much you've helped us, sir? We can't thank you enough. We're able to keep going all thanks to you. So please don't talk like that. We really respect you, sir. The head of the conservative faction stands between Mai and Mr. Kuki to defend him. Don't think that you're right just because you won. All you've gotten is the authority to enforce your actions. I won't complain anymore about the outcome of the duel, but that doesn't mean only you guys are right. Don't misunderstand that. They sound like the words of a sore loser, but there's truth in them. That's why both Mai and Mr. Kuki fought tooth and nail to try and secure victory.
わかってる。私だって私の考えだけが正しいとは思わないわ。だからあなたたちの意見を聞かせて。
You ask that of the conservatives, not the reformers, so they're all shocked.
私、自分の考えばかりで、みんなのことをちゃんと考えられてなかったわ。いろんな事情の人がいるって、頭では分かってても、ちゃんと理解できてなかったの。でも、今はそういう人たちのことを考えたいって。だから、みんなの力を貸してほしいの。もちろん、クキ先生の力も。
Mai shows regret for her past actions with a bittersweet expression on her face. But the conservatives all look skeptical. I'm not surprised they've been antagonistic to each other all this time, so it's not like they can just shake their hands and make up the moment the showdown is over. As I said earlier, I accept the result of the duel. Furthermore, we intend to continue doing our tasks as Chevalier. But that is all.
それで十分よ。
Thus, the path to reformation was just barely laid out. Anyways, so about the kid was trying to blow up the fucking school. Here you are. We're cleaning up after the combat festival is over. Taking a breather, I go look for a certain person and enter a classroom. All the commotion from the festival has disappeared, making it hard to believe it ever happened. The bulk of the students have headed home, and the person I'm looking for is sitting in a chair illuminated by the evening sun in a quiet location, completely removed from the commotion elsewhere. Yep. I knew it. I knew it. They made it sound like it would be Mai, but I just thought... But I expected them to do this. However, I didn't expect it was Kuki. I actually kind of expected expected it to be the student that tried to blow up the fucking arena. They noticed me and get up to move, but I approached her and stopped them. The person I was looking for is silently staring at the classroom. I can't make out from their expression what they're thinking. Came looking for you, wanted to talk. The long eyelashes blink, seemingly confused. Sit in the chair opposite of them and they shrug and smile wryly.
敗軍の将は兵を語らずって言うだろ。なのに、一体何の話かな。
His weary voice speaks volumes of how fierce the battle was. That's right, the person I was looking for was Mr. Kuki. There are many things I don't understand about this incident, so I'd like you to explain them.
わからないこと？
Yes. Are you the bat? How easy would it be if I could just ask that? I ponder that and ask what's on my mind. It's about something you said earlier. You said that you heard a rumor that Mai was going to enter the combat festival.
剣闘祭で優勝し、二つ名の影響力で改革を推し進む君たちの野望。
We remember this.
そういう
We remember this. The reason you entered as part of the alumni entries was to prevent Mai from winning. Am I correct?
ああ。そういえばそんなことを言ったかな。
But I don't understand that. We're sworn to secrecy about that.
なのにどうして僕が知っていたか。それが気になってるんだね。
And except that, he was able to notice that I was tailing him, given how skilled he was in the martial arts as a chevalier. But there's nothing scientific about a soldier's hunch, but such a thing surely exists. But I still can't accept him knowing about the hand we were going to play. He said there was a rumor to that effect at the time, and that's why he baited me with a leading question. But that's just not possible. I asked everyone I could after the fact, but none of them leaked the information. Who on earth did you hear it from? I suspected a spy at the time, but there was no one who leaked any information, as I just said. Moka helped me investigate it, so I had faith in the results of the investigation. And yet Mr. Cookie used a rumor to lead me on. I recall being puzzled at the time by the out-of-character action. That's why I sensed that the bat had a hand in it. However, the particular incident was rife with actions inconsistent with the bat's. There's a lot of discrepancies, which is why I still can't conclude whether Mr. Cookie is the bat or not.
そういえば、そんなこともあったね。
He smiles and sighs, looking off to the distance wearily. He then scratches his head in embarrassment and apologetically shrugs his
い
shoulders.
や、もし何かを勘ぐらせたなら謝るよ。別に大した意味はなかったんだ。もちろん意味ありげにすれば君たちが動揺してくれると思ったのは事実だよ。でもそれ以上の意味はなかったんだ。本当にそれだけだよ。
Doesn't look like he's lying. However, I want to know the origin of that rumor. Who on earth told you about it? He shrugs his shoulders repeatedly.
噂は噂だよ。人の口に戸は立てられないだろ。そういうのはどうやったって漏れ伝わるんだよ。実際。誰にそんな話を聞いたのかもう覚えてないからね。申し訳ないんだけど。
Once again, he doesn't appear to be lying. There's no sight of him concealing anything, and I doubt there's any point pursuing it any further. So it was my hunch that we had a spy among us. Just me jumping to conclusions. Unless, perhaps it was the bat that conveyed the rumor to Mr. Cookie himself.
少しでも勝てる確率を上げようとしたんだけど、今思い返せば恥ずかしい限りだよ。君たちがどう思っていたかはわからないが、こっちも必死だったんだ。何せ直前のデュエルでは紙一重だったんだからね。だからこそ小細工を浪して勝てる相手じゃなかったのにね。そういうところが結果につながったんだと思う。
Weariness in his voice makes him appear old beyond his years. The battle was extremely close, so I don't think there's any need to be so self-deprecating. We still have no idea how things will pan out in the future. Even though Mai just barely managed to secure a victory, that doesn't mean she'll be able to do whatever she pleases. The road ahead will still be rocky.
その通りだ。今日は蓮城寺君に勝ちを譲ったけど、即改革とはならないよ。
I see the life suddenly return to his eyes. With the crimson red illumination cast on them, they look like a rekindled fire, and I'm
言ってお
startled.
くが、僕はまだ20代だ。学生からは大人に見えても、世間的には小僧と言われる年でしかないんだよ。僕が古い世代に見えたなら、それは蓮城寺君や君の早とちりだ。
I know, that just sounds like you're throwing out fucking excuses to not be called an old man.
だからこれからも学生のために、いろいろと口を出させてもらうから、覚悟しておくんだね。蓮城寺君の改革が特定の学生に不利益とならないよう、 しっかり見届けさせてもらうつも
Yeah,
りだ。
just, speak up next time instead of staging a fucking coup, you dumbass.
ロケットのように切り離されるのは少なくともまだ先の話だよ。
He says it jokingly, but it's clearly his firm conviction. There's no despondence in his challenging look. If anything, there's an oppressive passion behind his quiet words. Mr. Cookie is not the bat. Of this, I'm sure. In all likelihood, he knows what Mr. Cookie and the Chevalier believe and use them. The bat fundamentally doesn't act in the open. He would appear in the spotlight on the stage. He wouldn't appear in the spotlight on the stage at the combat festival. It's far from the bat's pattern to bear the full brunt of an attack and fight to the best of their ability in the open. However, it's like the bat to make someone believe they can pull off any kind of insane stunt. Plus, there's a kind of derisive image that follows the bat around. He's not the creepy sort that would watch fools dance in a fire from a hidden location, but there is an aloofness to him. However, Mr. Cookie's different. He fights with the students truly from the heart. He fought with the best of his abilities for what he believes is best for his students, and now he hasn't lost his will. He has a new objective, despite having suffered one defeat. Such a person couldn't possibly be the bat. Really are, Chevalier, sir.
元シュバリエだよ。
If the chivalric spirit resides within you, your Chevalier. He smiles, looking a little
おべっ
surprised.
かを言うためにわざわざ僕を探していたのかい？
What, did you have to make him blush? Nah, just, I stopped when I noticed something. His cheeks aren't red because of the evening sun. Is he just embarrassed? Suddenly feel a kinship with him. Plan to keep working for the order as a teacher, right?
ああとはいえ、特定の学生に自分を重ねて肩入れしすぎていたのは反省しようと思う。騎士団ばかりを見ていて、一般学生のことを考えられてなかった。僕もまだまだ未熟だ。今回の一件は、僕が教師として成長するための通過儀礼だったんだ。きっとそういうことなんだよ。蓮城寺君には、僕を成長させてくれてありがとうと言える日が来るように、頑張るよ。
His voice cracks slightly. I can tell he's putting on a brave face. But what he said is likely how he really feels. Please keep working as a teacher. I think you're a brilliant teacher who truly cares for his students.
おや、やめるなんて言ったこと、一度もないはずだよ。
His mouth curls into a grin. He's absolutely right, of course. I bow to him and leave. After that, I find myself walking towards the rooftop. I feel like it would be a waste to just head straight home. I noticed when I arrived that someone was already there. Their long hair is illuminated in the evening sun as they silently overlook the school below. I can tell who it is from their rear profile. What are you doing up here?
終わったんだなーって思って。
Your voice is a mixture of relief and sadness that the festival is over. Well, so much going on that I haven't had a chance to tell you, so it's a bit late, but congratulations on winning. Stand beside her and he chuckles.
そう
He
いう
chuckles.
チンもお疲れ様。お手柄だったみたいね。
You were talking about preventing the explosion. That wasn't me alone. Everyone helped. Something really bad would have happened if not for Momoka's help in particular. Incidentally, she is with me at the moment. Now that the incident has been resolved, I was given orders to send her back to headquarters for maintenance after my slightly rough handling. She'll be back
そ
tomorrow.
うゆいちゃんから最初に不審な動きを見つけたのはジンだって聞いてるわよ。
But the one who actually subdued him was a conservative chevalier. I terribly regret that I wasn't able to play an active role.
壁にね、穴が開いてたらしいの。
Mai chuckles with her unrelated comment.
鋭い何かが突き刺さったみたいな穴が壁に開いてたらしいの。犯人を捕まえたちょうど真上あたりにね。で、捕まえたシュバリエが言うには、アラームが鳴って怪しい行動に気づいたらしいわ。なのに、アラームの発信源が見つからないそうなの。一体何があったのかしらね。
Strange things happen. I feign ignorance, but of course I know what happened. The hole in the walls from when I got stabbed by my throwing knife. I tied it to my device and threw it, stabbing the wall above his head, and Mumuk set off an alarm, alerting them to the suspicious activity. We saw that happen. I was able to retrieve it when they were busy securing him, so it went quite well, considering it was a spur-of-the-moment idea. But it's nothing to be proud of. The organization myself exists only in
不
the
思議な
shadows.
ことね。まあいいわ。そういうことにしておく。
She nods, showing no sign of pursuing it any further. Used that opportunity to change the topic. You knew right from the outset that the person responsible for the threatening letter was that Chevalier, right?
誰も出入りできない状況だったなら、最初に部屋に入った人をまず疑うべきでしょ。
She's absolutely right. The bat would give someone the impression that they could get away with anything, no matter how foolish, and forget common sense.
ひょっとしたら途中で心変わりしてくれるかなって期待してたんだけどね。
Her fine eyebrows droop
ほ
sadly.
ら、脅迫状を見つけたとき、本人に聞いたでしょ。
Now, as you mentioned it, you did. After discussing the locked room and what now sounds ridiculous, she turned to him and asked him what he wanted to do with the
あの
festival.
時、彼は確かにこう言ったわ。剣闘祭を成功させたいって。あれはきっと本人も心の中では葛藤してたのよ。でなきゃあんな矛盾したこと口にしないわ。だから追い詰めないようにあえて放置してたんだけど。
When he saw he might win, his sense of impending crisis must have intensified, thinking he could lose his privilege of a scholarship that he didn't need to repay. Then he moved to enact his threat.
シュバリエなんだから剣闘祭の結果は受け入れてくれるって思ってたんだけど、人って追い詰められれば追い詰められるほど割り切れなくなるの。私は彼みたいに切羽詰まったことが一度もないから分かってあげられなかったんだわ。
She puts on a bit of smile, more concerned about her inadequacy than celebrating her victory. What's going to happen to him? I've already received notification from the organization that he's not the Bat. That said, it's still uncertain if the Bat instigated him to act on his whims. Apparently, he said he knew nothing about the jamming that happened just before he was apprehended. Or perhaps the Bat used him to enact his plan. He probably needed to thoroughly investigate that possibility.
バカなことをしたわね。って切り捨てるのは簡単よ。ただそこまで追い込まれたことや誰かに相談できる環境になかったことについては反省しなきゃと思ってるの。そのためにはどんな改善が必要かヒアリングが必要じゃない？
So he won't be expelled from school? Well, that's good. I breathe a sigh of relief knowing the situation. Plus, I'm pleased that neither mine nor the school are calling for cold-hearted measures. It may be naive to think so, but it'd be nice if there was at least one ninja like that.
未遂で済んだのが不幸中の幸いだったわ。大きな混乱もなかったしね。学園としても騒ぎを大きくはしたくないみたい。
And that settles it.
とはいえ、本当に大変なのはこれからよ。団長には戻れないんだし、でも改革は進めていかなきゃだし、その改革もこうなった以上、軌道修正は必要だろうし、私、がむしゃらに頑張るキャラじゃなかったはずなのにね。
I remember when we first met, I thought she was a stereotypical gifted person who was capable of anything without cutting any corners. When then I discovered that she hid her passionate beliefs. That was when I started falling for her.
頑張るって言えばなんだけど、もうそろそろ受験の準備が始まるじゃない？
She changes the topic somewhat forcibly. She sounds somewhat stern. She maintains her awkward smile, but there's a hint of hesitation.
私ね、卒業したら海外の大学へ進もうかなって考えてるの。
Really? Now, words I never expected to hear. I'm shocked and stare at her full in the face. She smiles back with a mixture of seriousness and bashfulness. I see my reflection clearly in her eyes.
もっと見聞を広めたいの。いろんな人の意見とか考えを知りたいの。今回のことで つくづく思い知ったのよ。私はなんだかんだ言いながらも自分を基準にしか考えてなかったって。だから短絡的だって笑うかもしれないけど、海外に出ていろんなことを知りたいなって思ったのよ。
I would never lie for you. I mean that honestly. I was laughable about finding a goal you want to work towards. If anything, I think that's wonderful. If anything, I think that's wonderful. I decided that I would do from what I would do from the moment I was born. That was decided for me. I was born as a shadow, received training to operate as one, and was obligated to live that way. The training was intense, but my way of life is simple. In fact, I'm quite unaffected by the troubles of life. That's why I can respect someone who can choose their own future themselves. But she looks at me inquisitively.
偉そうに宣言しておいてなんだけど、一つだけ不安なことがあるのよね。
What's that?
遠距離恋愛になっちゃう。
She plonks her forehead on my chest. It's so bitterly disappointing that I'm at a loss for words myself. I'll miss you.
引き止めないんだ。
The person I fell in love with is the sort of person who would accomplish whatever they want to do, irrespective of the obstacles. Your victory at Combat Fest was the perfect example of this.
一人じゃ無理だったわ。みんながいたからよ。
Of course, countless people will continue to follow you too. There were always people to support her despite her being removed as captain. The order becoming divided, and the other unprecedented dilemmas they faced. It's proof of how much they
ジ
admire
ンの
her.
一番悪いところは聞き分けが良すぎるところよ。少しは泣いて引き止めてくれないと愛されてないって勘違いしちゃうじゃない。
I'm not sure how to respond, so I just awkwardly laugh it off. She sulks and gives up at the same time. Her normal, mature demeanor is replaced with the cheekiness of a young girl.
そこまで言われても引き止めないのね。ま、分かってたけどね。
Man, it's not like you're gonna change your mind now, regardless of how sad and difficult it may be.
だってそれが今の私の目標だから。でもその前にやることをやらなきゃね。
She slowly pulls away from me.
騎士団を今よりいい形にして後輩たちに残さなきゃ。そのために剣闘祭で優勝までしたんだから、まずはそっちをちゃんとやり遂げなきゃね。
Doesn't he feel like this game is really short? This, no, someone commented on the poll that this game won. Like, ayo, why not play Valhalla for Christmas? Because it's a Christmas game, because it takes place in November and December. So maybe I'll do that actually once I'm done with this. I'll probably put it up to poll. Her cheeks are red because she's so worked up, embarrassed, or the crimson color illuminating everything. Her hair and smile are smoldering like they've soaked up the evening light. I see more determination than unease as she turns away from me.
さあ、また明日からも頑張らなきゃね。
This better have an after credit scene where they're happily married afterwards. Or something. All the talk of her moving, like studying overseas, feels like it's building up to the after credit scene either being them reuniting after she comes back, or them just like finding a movie in together after everything is done and over with. They get Duka again. I swear this is Duka. Oh, this has spoiler. Fuck. This has spoiler images. Hold on. I can solve this somehow. Yeah, now I just have to only look at this and wait for when it shows up with Duka. The face is Duka, and ending. When comes the ending? Also Duka. Why am I so good at this? Why is Duca just peak, you know? Why is Duca just peak? That's all I can say. Why is Duca peak? Should I just skip this? I should probably just skip this. Wait. That's it? That's it? Also, I feel like the intertwined fingers is only grayed out because we literally can't listen to it because it's the HC soundtrack. Yeah, that's it? What? There's no after credit scene? This feels so unresolved. Like, people were, on part 1 of this route, people were like, oh, best route, best route, best route. This feels so incomplete. What the fuck are you talking about? If this is best route, I'll be disappointed with the rest of this game. Like, yeah, the route content is okay, is good, but this is not a conclusion. Literally, all the problems are still there. Like, this would have easily been solved by just an after-credits scene of maybe, like, once she comes back from studying overseas and maybe she herself becomes a teacher at the school, or maybe they move into the city or something, and they just talk at their, like, it even can just be walking past a bunch of students that are talking about how the fee to attend the school is now lower, but there's still like the scholarship option or some bullshit like that. But the way it is, this is just unresolved. What the fuck? I'm mad. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you next time. Actually, hold on. Which round am I gonna do next? Which route shall we do next? I arbitrarily decide on Shirogane. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you next time. Bye-bye.